Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd just do a quick sit-down video, basically saying what's been happening, what's going on, and the biggest news update is I've got a baby now. So in my last videos I stopped posting like 9 months ago. Enough time to grow a baby. Said baby has arrived. I stopped posting like halfway through my pregnancy. I got anemia and was just not very well, and basically just stopped uploading. Anyway, the baby's here now. I'll do a whole separate birth story video on that. It was a nice natural birth. Now she's 6 months old. And I wanted to just give an update because basically when you have a newborn and a toddler, 2 under 2, life gets hard and it gets messy. When you're bleeding, you've got a newborn that won't sleep, you've got a toddler that's like, why is there a baby crying? Life is hard. So anyway, here we are, 6 months later, and I'm hopefully returning. There have been a few major life updates. So I've had a baby. She's now 6 months old. I've got a toddler who's now turned 2. So we're in the terrible 2s, as some people call them. I like to call it the testing 2s, because it tests you. And yeah, so we're now weaning. I'm still tandem feeding. What else has happened? My partner, Luke, fiance, I don't like to say partner because he's more than a partner. I want him to be my husband, but planning a wedding with 2 babies like this, it's just not gonna happen anytime soon. Anyway, my fiance, he has just quit his job. His nice, stable, salaried job. He's quit it to become a full-time YouTuber. So that's crazy. That has taken a lot of work. So life has just been, and we've moved house. Yeah, we moved house when Rose, my new baby, was like 2 or 3 months old. So anyway, I wanted to just talk about some of these changes, what's been happening, and how one should deal with it if they're in a similar situation. So I, for a while, had 2 under 2. Harris was about 21 months when Rose was born. 2 under 2 is hard. Having 2 children with a fairly close age gap, I knew it was going to be hard. 2 under 2, everyone said it's going to be hard. But it is. It is. In many ways, it was great because I'm in that phase of life at the moment, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. But then when you get a new baby, you realise how dependent they are on you again. You've got to relearn baby stuff plus toddler stuff, learning as your toddler is getting older as well, because yeah, learning how to deal with a toddler is hard. We also potty trained Harris just before she arrived. Now, I say this, don't do it, right? I potty trained a 20-month-old, which is pretty young. I had been doing elimination communication, not like all the time. When he'd need to go for a poo, I'd put him on the potty. So I thought potty training would be easy. Not when there's a baby coming and you're moving house. So he is now 26 months and yeah, potty training's still hard. I found that having 2 infants needing me both at the same time, really hard. When Rose was a newborn and she'd need fed all the time, I would have to feed Harris to sleep for his naps and bedtime while feeding Rosie. It was very hard. Even now, I find that like Harris needs me and I'm like, I've got Rosie, I'm getting Rosie to sleep, or I'm feeding her, or I'm changing her, and he needs me. And it's really hard because when you've got a toddler, they emotionally depend on you more than a baby. Baby needs you physically, but the toddler needs you emotionally. So it's really hard to split yourself. But 6 months down the line, it's getting more predictable, he's aware, but it's a massive change for a baby. And when I mean baby, I mean Harris, because he was a baby when she was born. He wasn't even 2 yet, you know? But on a positive, I have found that because I have done the baby stuff before, I'm going into it this time around and I kind of know what I'm doing, but also because I have so little time, I don't fixate on anything, I don't overthink anything. I mean, as you can see, she's sleeping on me. I have to do things in the way that is the easiest, frankly. The path of least resistance is kind of what I'm doing, raising children, to be honest. I think it makes life less pressured, it makes life more fun. You can be a little bit more present than if I, was doing other things. This time round, so I found out this time round, I am much more trusting in myself. I don't think as much, I'm a little bit less stressed. And I have enjoyed babyhood a lot more this time around. However, I must admit, temperament of a baby, that is a real thing, okay? Everyone says when it comes to like baby sleep and whatnot, your baby's temperament is everything. It is. This baby, completely different to ours. But that's maybe another talking point for another video. Let's talk about postpartum with 2 infants. When you're postpartum and you're bleeding and you're sore, you've got a lot of recovering to do. It is really hard because there isn't any of that grace that there was the first time round, where people would come and they'd be like, oh, what do you need me to do? Well, I didn't really have that, to be honest, because I don't have anyone that lives near me. But, you know, I had someone bring me like food and fruit after I gave birth, and that was really nice. Second time round, that doesn't happen. People just expect you to get on with it, which, you know, is actually probably harder the second time round because you've got to do everything with a toddler and a baby. And you know that like recovery physically, it takes a while. It takes a few weeks for everything to stop hurting, stinging, to be able to walk, you know, in a straight line, to be able to stop wearing incontinence pads. It takes a while. But what is positive about postpartum second time round is that you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you also feel less pressure, at least I have, to bounce back. Because listen, I have such little time in my hands, and I've got such little time for myself that like the idea of bouncing back or recovery or even like anything really physically, I know that it will come. Like, you know, I'm 6 months down the line, I'm back in all of my clothes now, but like you can't expect it for quite a while, you know? Even like my step count, this is like such a random thing, right? But like when I'm pregnant, I would see like on my step count on my Apple Watch, it just significantly declines. The further you get along in pregnancy, you just stop walking, right? And then you just slowly, like after a few months, just slowly start walking again. Like it takes you a while, but you get back into it. I also care a lot less about how things are. As I said, when like the shift from having 1 to 2 kids, I'm just so much less stressed. It's not that I don't care, but like I'm definitely a type B kind of mum. Like we're gonna turn up and I'm gonna hope that I've got nappy bags and wipes and stuff. I went to a baby group recently and I forgot baby wipes. I had to ask a mum, like, you know, there will be a solution if things go wrong, but don't worry. We'll be fine. Moving house with a baby, this is something I wouldn't recommend you do. In a way, I would, because when you've got a newborn, they sleep all the time, so, you know, if you can get them down to sleep easily, maybe it's actually okay. However, don't do it. The first like 6 to 12 months of your baby's life, for instance, they're going to be growing out of clothes constantly. Like every other week, they're going to be, you know, rotating the clothes, right? So having to move house and having to like put clothes away, and then your life is just chaos with the baby. There's food, there's rubbish, there are nappies, there are baby grows everywhere, as it is. And then you've got to move house and organise everything. No. Moving house with a toddler, they need attention. Like, their toys. I had to systematically plan out which toys will I move at which date, which toys will I leave out so that he's entertained. It was a challenge. However, I must admit, building furniture with a toddler, they love it. It takes you about 4 times as long, however, they love getting involved. I must admit though, I didn't really build much furniture. That was a daddy job. And also, we're about 3 months into this new house and it's still a little bit chaotic. But that's a whole nother issue. There were rats in the loft. I think, honestly, the past 3 months have aged me. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like a challenged woman over the past few months. However, I'm totally chill about it. And I think the most important thing that you need to take with you, if you're in a similar situation where you've got humongous life changes, you've got a new baby coming, you're moving house, you've got new jobs, or whatever it is when it comes to parenthood and big changes, the most important thing is try not to stress. That sounds so much easier said than done. However, you need to just not care. I'm now also a Christian. And there's a bit in the Bible, I think it's Matthew, and Jesus says something like, you know, don't worry about tomorrow, you've got enough worries today as it is. And it's so true. You know, I cannot care about tomorrow at the moment because today I've got to get through a day. Like when you've got a toddler and a baby, all you can really think about is like time according to wake windows. And when you've got a baby, like a toddler that needs a nap, and then you've got like 3 or 4 naps in a day, that's enough to break it down. Do you know what I mean? So when it comes to large scale things, there's only so much you can prepare for and plan for. It will be what it will be, as long as you know you pack your bags or you potty train effectively, or whatever it is, you'll be fine. Get some help. And on that note, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a while. I'm hoping to start posting a little bit more. I'm actually filming today because my toddler and Harris and Luke, my fiance, are out of the house for the afternoon, so I've got time to myself. I don't have to worry about nap time, except like this baby, obviously. So I'm going to film a birth video. Yeah, update you about giving birth. It was great. Loved it. Highly recommend. We'll probably do it again. Not anytime soon though, hopefully. But yeah, I hope that you stick around. I've been posting hopefully more about parenting, life with 2 children, maybe eco-friendly stuff, I don't know. What else? I'm also employed by Luke. We do his YouTube stuff together, really. So if you want any updates, let me know. And hopefully I'll see you for the next video. On that note, I'll see you later. Bye bye.